Live.
Oh, nice. Yep. Do I need to turn the rest of the volume down?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
This thing works pretty well, surprisingly. The internet, dude, it's totally here to stay.
Oh, it's not going anywhere.
What's up, team? So, if you've never done one of these, you see where it says live?
Yes.
Right now, nobody is watching us.
Okay.
But you'll see, let me see if I can swipe left to reveal comments. I don't know. We'll start to see people tune in.
Yep.
If you're like CNN, we're not. There's like, I don't know, the most I've ever seen on like these big ones is like a couple thousand people tuning in, but those are like the largest networks in the world.
Yeah.
They're pretty small networks.
So we're going to get a couple hundred, you're saying?
Or 10.
Works for me. Yeah.
The most I've ever had, I've had like 3,700 people total watch one of them before.
Oh, fantastic.
Which is a large number.
That is a large number, yeah.
But what's great is they stay on.
Yeah.
So you can watch them over and over again. So do you have your phone on you?
I do, yes.
Yes.
No, I don't.
So you should go on to the Love Acfix page.
Yep.
I'm glad this is our marketing secrets for the world.
Yeah.
And you can go on and you can share this with everybody at Power Keg. Just low. There you go. Look at that. Fucking internet! One person's on, who are you? Oh, and then they're gone. See, they tune in.
Yep.
And then you scroll down. There we are. And you can share it with the world. How's it going, team? Hey, so once you log in here, tell us who you are, tell us where you're from, tell us all the good stuff. This is Adam Babin.
What's going on?
I'm Anders Varner. You probably have seen this shiny head. We were added by someone with a lot of hair today, mainly on their face. And we're going to be talking a lot about just the fitness world, Power Keg Athletics, where we are right now. You can see in the background, newly renovated, the personal training, the boot camps, kind of the life cycle of the membership here, and how Power Keg does things a little bit different. Started out as a CrossFit gym, now as Power Keg Athletics. They still have the CrossFit side of things, but we are going to dig into a little bit of the business model, dig into the why behind all of it, and a lot of the experiences that this one brings to the table and why Power Keg has made it. We're on 3 years now.
Yeah, we're going to be hitting 4 years.
Super rad about 3 years. 4?
We'll be 4 in January.
Holy crap! So we're 3.5 years of training down here in Little Italy. And one of the things that's super rad about Power Keg to me, when you open this thing, so a little bit of a backstory. Babin and I have known each other for a very, very long time, like in the 10-year range. He was Afghanistan?
Yeah,
Afghanistan.
Iraq.
We went to school together for a year. He played lacrosse at Roanoke College. So training and all of these things have been a big part of our lives, but the transition coming back from Afghanistan, how long were you there for?
Altogether 18 months.
It's a pretty good number, right?
Yeah.
Were you in Iraq at all?
2 years in Iraq.
Right on.
Yeah.
So when we are over there, one of the coolest parts about your kind of journey to opening Power Keg was running Kandahar. So you had this massive background in coaching, training, and the thing that interests me the most about being in Kandahar is you are in a hot zone.
Oh yeah.
For
in all senses of the word.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're not just dealing with are you training people, but you get 1 hour of someone's day and when you're in Kandahar, and the other 23 hours are not restful, peaceful. Tell me about Kandahar.
So what was pretty wild about there, never mind the fact that you're in a hostile environment, you're in a combat area, you're coaching classes and there might be a rocket attack and you have to go to a bunker right in the middle of doing a thruster. But you know, you're following military regulations. You have to think about the local customs and ways. So, you know, where we're comfortable just taking our shirts off in the middle of a gym or in a workout because we're hot, or because for whatever reason, those things you have to take in consideration. So there's a lot of extra things that go involved. Just getting equipment there is a challenge in itself. You know, it's halfway across the world or all the way across the world. So
you guys weren't a part of Kandahar's not a military.
It is, so it's what they call a mil-affil under CrossFit's eyes. So a military affiliates. It's not owned by the government, it's not owned by the military. It is still a true affiliate. We still had to have level 1 coaches. We still had to abide by the same rules and regulations that any other affiliate does, and we did so. We did special training programs to get coaches trained up, and then people would leave on leave, and they would go get their level 1. Like, that was their leave.
Yeah.
And so that was it was pretty awesome to watch. And it was all volunteer, which is really an amazing thing to watch. We started out at 1,500 square foot pad with $2,000 worth of equipment and no electricity outdoors. And 18 months later, when I left for good, we had 7,500 square feet. We had over $100,000 worth of equipment. We had 23 rowers after 18 months.
That's
23 rowers.
$23,000.
That's insane, right there. Yeah. You know, we had ridiculous amounts of equipment, which was fantastic to see that we were able to make happen, because everybody that got involved in CrossFit over there that tried it out, it's all free. It was open to civilians, it was open to military, it was open to government personnel. It was a NATO base, so we had people from all over the world. We were working with language barriers from France, from India, Pakistan, from the Philippines to locals there. I mean, we taught fitness to everybody, and so that was a really exciting experience to be able to do such a thing.
So when you think about like coming to the States, or you're coming home, and we all lived in DC together, what the hell makes you want to come into downtown San Diego? You're 6 blocks away from Invictus.
Yep.
You're a mile away from Humanity, which is a little bit north of us. San Diego is the most crowded market that exists in the world of fitness. Like, trying to open a gym here is basically like just trying to breathe. Like, everyone moves here to do that.
Yeah.
What the hell makes you think that 4 years later you're still going to be in business?
So we did a lot of research.
I remember you telling me this, and I was like, dude, there's a lot better places. Like, I had already owned San Diego Athletics for like 3 years, and I just remember thinking like, damn, dude, my buddy's gonna just open a gym and it's gonna suck because there's so many gyms around here. Like, why would you do this?
So the first and foremost, the thing that got me to do this is even though I was running and growing a business or a gym, it wasn't a business, but it was a business. We still had to abide by rules and regulations. We still had to find funding. We still had to organize classes and training programs. And I've run a fundamentals program with 83 people in it before. That's a beginner's class with 83 people. We had 10 coaches. Everybody was set up in columns of 8 people, and then we had 3 coaches on boxes in front of everybody, and 1 coach calling out the movements. So it's truly scalable. But what I heard a lot over there while I was volunteering to do this work, because it was not my main purpose there, was everybody always asked, is this what you do for a living? Is that why you're here? Did the government hire you to come here and run this and build this and grow this program? And it was always, no, this is just a passion. This is just something I love. And eventually, well, would you own a gym in the States? No, I don't own a gym. And eventually enough people were like, well, you should open a gym. You should open a gym. And finally one day I was like, hey, maybe I should open a gym. Yeah. So then it comes back to the question of, where do you want to live? Well, I want to live near the water. I want to live near the beach. I want to live somewhere nice. Because if I'm going to grind and work and sweat and work 18-hour days, 7 days a week for years, I at least want to do it somewhere enjoyable. Yeah. So, we looked at Charleston, South Carolina, and we looked at San Diego. And Charleston, it was a great city, and it's an amazing place, and it's got a lot of history, but the beach town is not there. It's away from Charleston. Here, we have the beach town. Yeah. The other thing is the target market. Look at, like Anders was saying here, was everybody here is looking to do some sort of fitness. Everybody here in San Diego and Southern California takes care of themselves for the most part. They know the health is a higher priority. Their lifestyle is a higher priority here. So that's when you say, hey, even though we are down the street from Invictus, even though there is 15 different other gyms or fitness facilities in the area, we can still be successful because we are going to provide a different experience.
Yeah.
We are going to provide different knowledge or different cues. On so many different levels, we are able to succeed if we do what we know and what we do best.
And I think off camera before we started this, you said something that was really important that I think every gym owner in the world needs to know. When we talk about competition and how many gyms are around you, the gym down the street that's doing a good job and promoting fitness and promoting health and teaching in a quality manner is very rarely the competition. And you said your real competition is the couch,
Yep.
shitty food,
Yep.
poor wellness,
Yeah.
just the base levels of,
Misunderstanding.
and the idea of just getting up and moving every day, or getting around a community of people that are somewhat interested in just progressing their lives in a better way.
Yeah.
How do we combat that here at Power Keg? So I know you have, with the brand new renovation, the place looks gorgeous. If you're in
Thank you.
San Diego, make sure you get here. But how do you combat so much of the CrossFit world, and I know you guys are Power Keg Athletics, but CrossFit is kind of how a lot of us got our start into this.
Absolutely.
How do we, instead of forging elite fitness, how are you guys able to progress that conversation from we're able to work with everyone from getting off the couch to getting into this wherever you want to be? What is that progression to them?
So, and this is like everything else with a business, it's learned and developed over time and experience. So the 3.5 years that we've been doing this, all of our programs have changed and adapted and adjusted based on the target, based on the majority of the people here, what people are looking for. We're putting surveys out. We're trying to figure out, hey, why are you not coming into the gym? What terrifies you or threatens you or makes you hesitant to come in here and make a change in your life? And, we've added more programs that are beginner friendly, more programs that make things easily accessible to the masses. We want to ensure that every barrier to entry, if you will, every reason or excuse or thought behind somebody not changing their life, not making this step to move forward in our fitness is removed. So then they can only say, well, I have to try this, or I have to get started, because you have removed every reason why I shouldn't get started. So, we've got our level 1 program now. I was always up in the air. I'm a true believer in the whole scalability in a class. You build your programming to the top 10% at all times so that they are always challenged, and everybody else will continue growing and they'll scale in their versions, which is what's great about the CrossFit mindset and mentality. But at the same time,
Frightening as hell.
it is when somebody walks in here and they see a regular or a level 3 class going on, and you've got people with their shirts off, you've got people throwing heavy weights around, doing movements that you've only seen in the Olympics on TV before and never in person, and you're like, man, I don't think I could ever do that, or I'm terrified of that. You're not going to do that right now. This is what you're going to do. But the problem is, it's like a car crash. We still have to look at it. And we still enjoy, yeah, but I can't do that. It's okay.
Yeah.
You can do it eventually. We're going to help you get there if you want to. But don't look at that and say, that's what I'm comparing myself to right now. We have to get everybody to understand that we all start somewhere, and that is acceptable and encouraged, and that we need to know that wherever we start, we'll get as far as we want to go based on the people that are around us that are helping us, and based on how bad we want it and where we want to go.
I think that's one of the things that coming from kind of that world of performance and eliteness, one of the things that I enjoy so much about working with, it sounds terrible, but people that are dealing with chronic pain is they're already at zero, and I get to be that kind of lightning rod that shows them hey, no, you still can do this, and it still can be a positive experience. And here's how we kind of go about this most basic level of moving again. And there's a piece of the CrossFit thing, and I think you guys have done 4 years later, it's awesome. You have to, as a gym owner, find a way to communicate with people, and that messaging is so hard when you have that CrossFit word attached to what you're doing. And most importantly, I think, is the personal training side of things and developing a relationship with coaches. CrossFit gyms are known now. They have 20 people in class, and I don't care how good of a coach you are, how many videos, how many hours of YouTube you've watched on teaching clean and jerks. If you've never looked at 20 people in the face and thought, how in the world am I going to touch all 3 of these people? Like, just think, 3 cues in an hour for each person with a 20-person class is 60 minutes. That's not giving you much time in a 1 hour long class to actually work with somebody.
Yep.
And you guys in this renovation have blocked off an entire piece of the gym just for personal training.
Absolutely.
There's actually a total freak in the background right now.
Chuck.
The guy's an animal.
Yep, Chuck Stanley.
But the personal training thing is something that I think has gotten lost in a lot of this group fitness type thing. The camaraderie is great, the community is great, everyone's working together. All those pieces are great, but it's so easy to get lost in the crowd. How have you guys kind of implemented this personal training piece along with the group classes and the boot camp so we have this wide variety of services?
That's a great question. You know, we offer packages that we call hybrid packages, and so, you know, based on what your goals are, based on how much time, how much money, how much outside effort you're willing to give, what the priority is for you, is going to determine how many days a week you come to classes, how many days a week or month you're doing personal training, what your personal training consists of, you know, all of those things. And it's all different, you know. Anders brought up Chuck earlier, who was doing some personal training earlier. He is essentially a semi-pro volleyball player. He travels around the country on his free time to compete in volleyball tournaments, outdoor volleyball tournaments. We have a female professional golfer who is here, and we've helped her, and she does personal training on top of group classes. We've worked with NFL players and doing personal training and group classes. And what's great about that is that we're able to actually really focus and develop the core skills that they want to develop, and at the same time they get to experience that motivation or energy that comes from the group class. They get to experience that feeling after a workout with 15 other people or 20 other people where you're all, you know, on the floor, or you're all dying and sweating and breathing heavy, and you've just accomplished something great, and it feels amazing, and everybody's energy is increasing everybody else's. And I think that is where you keep everybody together, like you said, the community aspect. Yeah. But then those extra personal training sessions are where you start seeing these individuals really progress to a new level, really start reaching these goals in a much shorter period of time. And that's why it's still important, if this is an important part of your life, to have those personal training sessions, to get them done. A few sessions, 30-minute sessions or hour-long sessions. There's still so much that can be learned in a 30-minute session. Yeah. You know, you don't have to spend time warming up in that session. You don't have to spend time doing strength. It could be a 30-minute skill session, which is a lot of the times what we see. We're not moving heavyweight. We're not PRing during those sessions. Yeah. We are getting the focused attention for 30 minutes of a coach and that eye and those cues, and working with just that athlete.
I think it's something that people, like the group fitness thing took off so much, and we were in that world so hard and so heavy. Mm-hmm. And when you start to take a step back and realize, like, I think the original model was like, let's have 8 to 10 people in a group, and it's small group training.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden this thing got really popular, and there's 20 people in a class, and the level of coaching, no matter who you are or how great at what you are at what you do, the product and the quality suffers. And having that 30 minutes is so important, and one of the most important things to me, and I think that it's one of the reasons you guys have made it, is because of you and your transition. To go back in time a little bit, 18 months in Afghanistan, 0 months in Afghanistan, and my little prep school, beautiful, perfect life that I was living back in Arlington, Virginia. And you would come home and your baseline for intensity was like a 7 in my life, and I was at like a 3. Mm-hmm. And the transition that you have gone through as just a person, the business side of things, there's an entire mindset shift that I've watched over the last 4 years, through business, through the things that interest you. Can you just walk people kind of through that process? Because it's not easy, and there's a massive amount of self-work that you and I love talking about, that goes into how are we presenting ourselves, what is the mentality that you want people coming into the gym with, and that full circle of mindset, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's funny you bring that up right now too. So we just had a reunion for everybody. Every year we do a Kandahar CrossFit reunion somewhere in the country, and whoever can make it shows up. And we were in Austin last weekend and had a blast. It was a lot of fun catching up. And the first thing that we did there was we all got out off the planes, and we went right to one of our friend zones, Sick Fit Round Rock, and Mike Allred. And he had no idea we were coming. We showed up at his gym, and we did what we used to do, was we would sit down. There's 6 of us there. There was supposed to be 7. One person hadn't shown up yet. So everybody picked their favorite movement, and we put together a workout. And it turned into, 6 movements for 7 rounds, because there were supposed to be 7 people there. And it ended up being like a 40-minute workout. And it was just, it was a variety of things, from sledgehammers to rowing to double unders to overhead walking lunges with a kettlebell.
Nothing regular humans looking for fitness should ever probably do.
No, and we did it as kind of a tradition, holding uphill, because in Afghanistan we would do workouts like this, and we talked exactly what you were saying. Our baseline, and we saw it ourselves. We're all out of shape and dying in the heat, and this is Texas heat compared to Afghanistan heat, which is a whole different level. And we're sitting here going, at the end, we're like, man, this used to be our baseline. We used to do this all the time, and now here we are dying. We were dying. We started out with do 7 rounds of these 6 movements, and it turned into just get as many reps as you can in the minute, and then it turned into half as much as we did last round. Yeah. And we're sitting here going, man, this is not what it used to be. We all train different. We all have different goals. We all have different injuries or different impingements or whatnot. So it's a whole different level on training and what we view at now. I am so much more into odd object movements and going into some longer workouts at a lower intensity, things like that, or more what I'm looking at. I've really started getting into the ski erg and working from the ski erg. So that mindset of what works for me and what my goals are, and changing and adapting has changed, not only for fitness but for the business side. 4 years in, and we have different goals. We have a different path and how we're going to get there to those goals. When you start a business, you only, it's been said a lot recently, you only know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. And so you have your initial goals, and then you start going forward, and you're like, well, these were my goals, but society or the market is trending me this way, and if I am aware of this, and even more importantly, if I act on these things and these changes and these adjustments and what people are looking for, then I can be more successful, or hopefully I will be more successful. And it's important to pick those things up, and it's both business, it's your personal life, it's your fitness. As we get older, our fitness changes. I've watched Anders go from competitive level, regional level training, tons of Olympic weightlifting, and just long workouts every day, multiple workouts a day, to, I remember the first time Anders told me, why do 2 really good workouts in a day when you can do 1 awesome workout in a day? What's the point? Why am I doing all these workouts in a day? What is my goal now? And now we watch, and you guys see it out there, where he is just in love with the kettlebell and doing so many different things, and his evolution in fitness and his goals and where he wants to go and what he wants to challenge his body with has changed.
So how do you talk to clients about that? So this was something I really struggled with in owning a gym that was so the gym that I owned, we had a lot of regional level athletes in the CrossFit world. 6 years, 70 something people going to regional. It's like you build this brand and this vibe that you put out, and a lot of it starts at the top. And when I realized like my body's broken. If I try to even keep this going for another year, my brain's gonna explode. Like I can't keep the intensity going. Energy levels are shit. I'm married.
That throws a huge change in things.
The wife doesn't really care about my workout today, unfortunately. I don't know what's wrong with her. But like you said, all of our goals change, and I think what happens is we start to develop this long-term plan versus this immediate plan of like, I want to be great.
Yeah.
Like, well, what does that mean? Well, great when you're 23 means like there's a lot of ego involved in that. There's a lot of that like me-centered focus, which is often like competition. Did I win today?
Yeah. Did I PR this week?
Yeah, exactly. Like, how strong am I? Like, what does my Instagram like look like?
Yeah.
Did I get, whatever.
Yep.
So when the messaging for ourselves changes, but how do you change that for this Power Keg Athletics? I mean, your logo is a fucking pirate eating a barbell with 2 kegs on the end of it. Like, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah. It can be construed as misinformation or fake news.
No. Fake news coming out. But there's a conversation, and it's something that I struggled with a lot when it was we had built this brand, we had built this energy, we had built this like vibe about who we were, and it was all based off of this very ego-driven competition. You have to be good at this, and that's great when it's a really small gym where competition is focused. Like you look at Westside Barbell, probably one of the most famous gyms in the entire world. They have maybe 30 members there at any point in time, and it's free.
Yeah. How is that a business?
It's
right.
Yeah. Well, they have to create a lot of products, sell a lot of products, do all those things. But when you start getting into training regular people, that is not their lives. And as you progress through fitness, and as I progress through fitness, and the goal becomes the rest of my life, how do you combat the expectations of people walking into Power Keg, or maybe their preconceived notions? They like either the fear coming in or the now I'm here and I want to be a gangster.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, let's talk about like the next 10 years or and that's really, really hard in the gym business.
It is because people come in, like you said, with their preconceived conceptions or their goals, initial goals, and they come to us, and we are all about what do you want? What are you trying to do? We focus on 3 relationships: the relationship between the athlete and the coach, the relationship between the athlete and the other athletes here, and then the relationship between the athlete and fitness itself. What is that relationship like? Those 3, that triangular relationship structure is really crucial to helping people determine what it is they really want. Everybody thinks they know what they want and they can say what they want and that's it. And they're like, I want this. I want that. I want to go to regionals. I want to go to the games. Okay, well, let's sit down and talk about what it's going to take.
Do you really know what that means when you say that?
And we're actually going through a big shift right now, and it's a very positive thing, but it's also very challenging. We are getting a group of now consistent people that want to be very competitive, and they want to go down that path, and they want to try to go to regionals, and they want to train for that. And so, you said the word earlier and you put it in quotes, that elite mindset or that elite mentality. And that is those things why Westside Barbell is so successful and why, because they are small and they can have a group of 30 people, and they do, that have that elite mindset, and that's who they attract.
If you have a 2,000 square foot facility in the middle of a farm field in Ohio, 30 people might be awesome for you.
Yep.
You want to be in downtown Little Italy or 3 blocks from the beach in Pacific Beach, you better learn how to train and speak to
a larger group,
folks that enjoy paying your bills for you.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like we're 4 years in, and we're just now evolving and shaping some sort of a competitors program. Is that because we didn't want to in the past? Not at all. It's exciting. Competitors programs are exciting and they're fun, but there's a small percentage of people out there that want to and can fall in that category. And that does not grow a business. No. That may assist it in a small amount, but there's also negative side effects about that.
It's a very bright, shiny light.
It is.
That draws a lot of attention.
Yep.
but on the backside of it, it's really dark.
It is.
It's kind of blinding.
It is, you know.
I know about this.
The hours and hours of work you put in, the strictness on your nutrition. You know, hey, are you coming out tonight on Friday night? We're gonna go have a couple beers, or we're gonna go get In-N-Out burger.
Yeah.
No, I can't do that. Why not? Well, I'm training for this thing that's a year away.
Yeah.
But it's just one night. Yeah, but then next weekend it's one night, and the weekend after that it's one night, and those one night a week is then taking me away from that end goal right here that I'm trying to get to. So it's a massive sacrifice and commitment, and by no means should you think that you are elite because you're doing it. That does not make you elite, and that's where you see a rift create in a gym where the community is strong and it's not competitors focused, and then you start having competitors and people start going, oh well, why do they do this, or why are they doing that, or why can't I do this, or why can't I do that with them? And it's because they have a different goal, they have a different focus, and that's the only reason. It's not because they're better than anybody else, it's because this is the path they are choosing, these are the things they want to do. It doesn't mean that what you're doing that's different is wrong. It might be just what you need and what you're looking for. So don't feel pressured that you need to do those things.
So that you said a word in there called better that is super important when it comes to people making decisions and understanding where they're at in their own fitness career. When you see a competitor's program, or when you see elite level athletes, it doesn't even have to be CrossFit. Like, we trained and played sports with all these people that go and play at the next level all the way up to the top. And when you see what they do, you assume because they're stronger, faster, whatever it is, that what they do must be better. Mm-hmm. And what you don't realize when you approach these things, and I deal with it, I have these conversations with people in the rehab world all the time, and it's what they're doing is actually significantly worse for you than what you need to be doing because you're living in chronic pain. Yep. Like, you are having a hard time getting out of bed and feeling good in the morning. So to think that you need to be hitting ladder drills, working on footwork and speed and your first step, or Olympic lifting and how much are you clean and jerking, or
how many muscle ups can I do unbroken?
To think that something like that is better because it looks more complicated, or somebody that is getting more press or high fives than you, there's a mindset that you have to have when you walk into a gym or you walk into any program of what is right for me. And there's a baseline of health, wellness, nutrition that everyone should just understand. And then we can start to grow that out. And if you're in pain, if you're dealing with it, like, you need a personal trainer, you need someone that can actually have a conversation and teach you these fundamentals, and then let you make a decision later on down the road once you've kind of fully encompassed a lifestyle of health, performance, whatever it is. And now we can start to progress that conversation. Like, hey, now we can learn a muscle up. Yeah. But before we start swinging around on the rings and your shoulder doing weird things, like, let's learn where your lats are. Yeah. Let's see if they pull properly so you don't have this like weird chicken wing thing.
Are you doing this when you try to pull yourself up?
And talking about stress management, so when you get into the gym, you're actually present in what you're doing. Like, the number of times you see somebody hop under a barbell and their brain is still at work and now they're trying to PR something, you just don't have their focus. And people's lifestyle, they need to get rid of the word better because somebody else is doing something and the grass is always greener on the other side. It's just not there. So when you mentioned this thing of the community, like, how, when you have these competitors, when you have these people in here that are doing the personal training, when you have the boot camps, how do we tie all these things together? 4 years later, we still have the same messaging, but how do we keep this cohesive group moving together as you expand programs, as you bring new trainers in, it all starts with you and the messaging that you bring to the gym.
The passing of the information is crucial to everybody because everyone's going to perceive any actions or decisions or changes in their own way. And if you do not do two things, collect questions, comments, and concerns, and then two, analyze and address them, you will just be going blindly towards whatever you feel. And it's a bias. It happens naturally. When we program for, general programming, there becomes bias sometimes. And somebody else, is important to have somebody else step in and look at it and say, hey, you biasly, without realizing it, subconsciously program in this direction because it's your strengths, or maybe it's your weaknesses and you're really good at programming towards your weaknesses to get better, or it's because you like doing these things. Whatever it is, it just happens. So ensuring that you're constantly getting feedback, and then not only taking that feedback, but the most important part is applying the changes and addressing those concerns or questions through that feedback, from that feedback, is where you're going to really take yourself and your results to the next level. It happens in your business, it happens in your training, it happens in your personal life, right? We get feedback from our coaches, we get feedback from our mentors, we get feedback from our significant others. We are constantly getting feedback, but if you don't pay attention, if you don't address it, if you don't make changes to it or work with it, then you're just going blindly in any direction that you want to with that bias on you, right? If you have an impingement on your right side and nobody ever tells you about this and you don't see it, and you're squat, and every time you squat you shift or hitch, right? Then you're going to keep doing that, and eventually it's going to lead to something more serious and negative.
And I think that when you get into the messaging thing, that I know with us, I'm sure all of our clients are so tired of hearing me talking about breathing properly. But it is literally like the baseline for people learning how to regulate stress in their lives and start to be able to get the tissues and joints moving properly. And if we progress the conversation too far away from that baseline, the whole message is lost. And I think that's something that as a gym grows, so many of the owners, and myself included, especially when we start at the level of competition and then try and backfill versus, hey, what is really like the base of what we're trying to do in here? And how do we progress that conversation? But you always have to come back to this baseline of, why are we here?
What do you want?
And your coaching staff, how long's your coaching staff been here?
We are constantly growing that, and I would say,
like the core, I know Rodrigo has been here a while now. Doug's been here a while.
Jeff has been here. He is our only member converted to coach. And it's not that he's never coached before. He's coached different things in the past. He was a semi-pro and a professional soccer player for a while. So he coached high school teams and travel teams and soccer and whatnot. But when he came to us, he had just come out of a knee surgery, and so we started training him as an athlete, and he is a competitive athlete by nature. And he is now, I'm watching him change and evolve and shift, and he went from his late 20s, now he's 30 years old, and he's realizing a whole different realm about himself that he's going through, which I learned 3.5 years ago. And I started going through, and we fight it, and we say, no, we're not getting older. No, we can't.
I don't need to change.
I don't need to switch my training from 60 minutes of training and 20 minutes of stretching to 60 minutes of stretching and 20 minutes of training. Like, that happens. No matter how much you want to fight that, that happens, and you need to be willing to accept that and see it first and foremost, and accept it, and then make that change.
So when you sit down with your coaches on weekly, monthly, whatever it is, coaches meetings, where does that conversation start, and how do we kind of progress? Because I think that one of the things that gyms, especially small gyms, like in our very early days, we struggled with this immensely because the growth happens, and then all of a sudden, the expectation that your coaches give a shit about your product as much as you do is something that everyone needs to stop what they're doing right now in their gym, especially if you're a gym owner, and go talk to all of your coaches and realize that, like, they're great coaches, but they're here because they're working. You're here because it's your life. And there's a massive difference in the two. Like, when you grow a system that is your gym and sell it however many years later or whatever you end up doing with it, the coaches don't get paid out on that. That's not a part of their life business model. So they're here for a paycheck, and they're here to develop as coaches clearly and get better, but everyone needs to realize that there needs to be messaging to your coaches and ensure that they have this base knowledge, because whatever is important to you is not necessarily important. It may be to a degree as important, but
they're never going to love it to that level. Absolutely. This is their job. They love being fit. They love doing fitness. They love training. they love helping people and changing people,
Yeah.
they probably don't love a business or running a business.
Yeah. So
and that's where you sit down. I know exactly what you're saying. We sit down with our coaches and we say, we talk to them and say, hey guys, like all of our positions, our titles, our job titles here always have ambassador as well. So you may be the social media expert or social media manager and Power Cake ambassador. You are a boot camp coach and Power Cake ambassador.
Yeah.
You are an administrative assistant and Power Cake ambassador. So at all times, the baseline is the community. The first question we ask on anything we do is, how is this going to affect the community? How is this going to affect the members? And then after we go through all of that, if that's a positive result from that question at the beginning, then we go through the process of designing the program and doing these things. And then we get it all together and we go, okay, we spent all this time, let's ask this question again.
Yeah.
How, now that we have it done, looking at the final product, how is this going to affect the membership?
Yeah, and it goes literally on every single piece. So like whether you're doing some community event at the beach, like what are we trying to get out of this? Or training your coaches on teaching squats.
Yeah.
Like that conversation needs to come with, who cares if we can get our hips below parallel? Like, functional movement, sweet. But what are we trying to teach our clients, and how is this bringing people together, and what is the message that we're trying to get to everyone? I like the ambassador idea. That's I've never heard that before, and I wish you had told me that 5 years ago.
It's important. It really is, because especially in this day and age with the amount that we are connected and watching things in real time. And
like this.
Yes, exactly.
You aren't paying attention live to our conversation right now.
Right? This is...
As someone logs off.
Bye.
Yeah.
No, this is crucial to understand that everything you do here at the gym, at your place of work, everything you do outside, especially when we're trying to be... So when we do our interview process for our staff, it is... one of the first question we ask is, tell us a funny story. Break the ice, get it going. One of the questions we ask in there is, would you follow yourself? Do you feel comfortable being a role model? Because the things you do outside of the gym, because this is such a tight community, because people are connected on such a different level nowadays, that the things you do outside the community, if you want people to take you serious, you need to show them that you are serious and live this way. And there's a reason why you're able to do these things, is because you believe it to your core, or you apply the same ideas, thoughts, concepts, theories, lifestyles to your own lifestyle. And that's why we really are push that whole ambassador point. It's important, If you think that you're going to have a job nowadays and they're not going to know what you do in your free time, then you obviously have won the battle and have disconnected from everything else that we are connected to. Because everyone's going to see what you do and when you do it and how you do it.
Yeah.
You're not going to get away from that anymore. The question is, how do you manage it, and are you making good decisions when nobody's looking? Because somebody's always looking.
Yeah, it's like your members are like, well, I don't have kids. You don't have kids. I see parents with their kids, and all of a sudden, the kids adopt all of the habits.
Yep.
It's not like they just choose the good ones.
Yeah.
And your members do the same thing. And when we at San Diego Athletics, we had this competition thing was so heavy that people would walk in off the street and think that like snatching as heavy as possible was a great idea. And then as soon as we say, hold on, let's back this conversation up a little bit, they look over and there's total freaks over in the back doing things that normal people will never be able to do.
Yep.
And that messaging and how you communicate with people really tunes in.
It does.
Grab a hold of your phone. Let's see who these people are. No, not that one.
Oh, yeah. We've got a caller from Maine.
Caller coming in.
Caller coming in. Hello.
Phone-in conversations. Let's check out. There's got to be some questions on here. We're on my phone, so who are these people? No, your Facebook thing. There you go. Go to our page. God, this technology thing is so great. Here we go. 6 whole comments. Shauna Norton's checking in.
Yeah.
I'm a little frightened.
She's going to be here soon.
We have some friends that are going to be tuning into this thing that are... I love you, no homo. Keep the awesome hard work, bro. Thank you.
Say something to you.
Oh, look, there actually is like a little delay. There you go.
Okay.
This is the ultimate hair versus hairless matchup. I love it. Down. Sean and Norton's hanging out. Nice. I'm glad our friends haven't really tuned in.
Yeah.
Right on, dude. Well,
so
how do we wrap this thing up? Tell me.
You know, I guess the way I like to put it is the same thing that when somebody walks in off the street and says, "Hey, I want to do these things," or "I want to do this," or "I don't know what I want," and that's really what it is. Is even when people say they want this, that's not necessarily what they want. And
you don't know what they want.
No,
you got to give them a purpose sometimes.
Yep. And you need to know the best way you can feed their desires or meet their needs is to be really good at drilling down and finding out what they really do want.
Yeah.
They may say they want this, but
everyone wants
they
to
really
lose
want that.
weight and wants abs.
Yeah, you want to look better naked. Awesome.
And something we lose sight of a lot as coaches is like we live this thing. Mm-hmm. So it's super easy to... Molly, I can't see the questions on here. Molly's our social media lady. She's so awesome. I'm going to make... Well, you guys have one already. We lose sight of the ability to... we often lose sight because we assume that everybody has the same information in their brain that we do. Someone says, "I want to lose weight." I can instantly think of this like perfect diet. I can think of this perfect thing that goes on, right? Like, my back hurts. Well, dude, fixing people's backs and like the pain that they're in happens to be super easy.
Yeah.
Like, I just need you to do the things that
Just do what I tell you.
Yeah, just do what I tell you and it's gonna happen. But what doesn't... So, I'm a coach going through the low back fix. How do you feel about coaches who are not fit?
That is a good question. I love that question, actually, because I've had some coaches or some individuals that would be phenomenal coaches because they can connect with people on a different level. But they can't do a muscle up. So then they say, well, I can't do a muscle up, so I shouldn't be a coach. And I used to think this: if you can't do all the movements, you shouldn't be coaching. But then I come to realize that's such a broad, generalized statement, and there's so many other factors that go into it. Maybe I can't do a muscle up because of an injury in my past, right? Or, and then coach is like, but how am I supposed to do this? And I said, this is where you show and shine that you're an outstanding coach. Because you can say, hey, I know this person in the group, the class I'm teaching, can do a muscle up. And maybe you ask them in advance before the class starts, do you mind if I use you as the visual example when I'm coaching this class to say, here, today we're going to be doing muscle ups. And we know that only 3 of you in here can actually achieve a muscle up correctly in a safe fashion. So the rest of you are at different skill levels. Yeah. We're going to scale you. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. But we still want them to see what they're shooting for, or else then they're just doing movements with no goal, end goal, and purpose. So we have that one person come up, hey, Jenny is going to show us the muscle up. And this is actually more ideal than the coach themselves actually moving the barbell or doing the muscle up and trying to talk about it at the same time. Yeah. Instead, you have one person doing the movement, and then you say, hey, watch how Jenny opens up at the bottom. Watch how Jenny squeezes her glutes and gets in that hollow position, right? Yeah. Watch how Jenny brings her ribs down to her hips. Watch how she throws her head through the window and gets in that deep dip position and then presses out of the top, right? All of those things you can do and point at on this person while they're moving. So it's better than you being able to do the movement because you're now able to give them a verbal, tactile, and visual example of what we want them to achieve and they're working towards.
My approach to coaching everyone, I like to think sometimes that I'm coaching everything I learned 2 years ago. And there's usually this like progression of like the majority of the people that I think that I'm coaching and what I'm teaching them is my journey through finding this thing in the current stage that I'm at. So 2 years ago, I started doing breath work and I was really, really, really terrible at it. Like, I didn't understand it. I didn't know what journey this was about to take me on, but it was like this little launch point of like, you don't do this, now you do. Mm-hmm. And 2 years later, I finally have this like little speck Like, I've been lifting weights for 21 years. That's a long time, right? Like, I know a lot about lifting weights.
But you don't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I know, right? It's terrible. So teaching people how to lift weights is really simple to me, as long as I can get their buy-in. And what I want to get their buy-in on is not be me. That's so not what I'm trying to do, is just educate people on baselines of health and nutrition.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Like, if we can just get that buy-in, I don't want you to be me. I want you to be you and apply the things that I've learned through this process to your life.
Yep.
And then once you have this education thing, it enables you and empowers you to make a choice. Like, if all you do is watch TV, you would think that you could lay in a bathtub on a cliff and Cialis is the thing. No, trust me, it's not. But that's the only education that you surround yourself with. And if I get to be the voice of education to you on how to live a life that may or may not be healthier, you can use that information and take action on it and see what happens. Because I can't control the projection of your life, but I can help you maybe put some of the pieces together of the questions that you have. So whether you're in shape or you're out of shape, like, Michelle, I know your story, and you worrying about, like, are you good at fitness? Like, you're never going to be Annie Thorsdottir or whoever the new coolest person is. You're never going to be there. So why are you going to try and compare yourself to that? What you should be doing is telling people about your journey and telling people how you went from, like, almost unable to walk to, hey, I started doing these really simple little things and it made a massive difference, and a year later I'm able to do a split squat. Like, that's incredible. You actually can, like, balance on one leg. And find all of the people that are unable to balance on one leg and don't know why they're in pain, and go tell them the story. And that is a coach. It's not, I want you to be me. Yep. It has nothing to do with the ego. It has nothing to do with your actual skill level. It has to do with where you've been, where you're going, and how you can affect people along their path. Like, the information in the story becomes the education process that you're able to help people get on their path. Like, I'm number one in the person that used to try and control people's lives. Like, I do this has to be right, and it has to be intense, and it has to be heavy, because everybody wants to compete at CrossFit. Truth is, no one really wants to. Like, they think they do, but they don't know how hard it is. Yeah. And they don't know how heavy it is. Yep. And they don't know the commitment level. So as soon as you get past that 80% of the sexy part of it, you lose them all. Yeah. So to think that everyone's going to go 100% paleo and the only carbohydrate they're going to eat is a sweet potato is fucking stupid.
People don't want to live like that. That's not manageable.
Yeah, but Michelle, we were talking yesterday, and you have somebody that you're really good friends with that is about to have back surgery because they have 3 herniated discs. I don't know their story, but it's, instead of saying, like, oh, like, you might be screwed, but I have a better option. No, you can go over to that person's house and teach them how to breathe properly. You can teach them how to get rid of some stress in their lives. And through that, you build that relationship and you build that trust, and that's what coaching it is. It's, one day you may be coaching elite athletes because you've changed your life around and you've learned so much about strength and conditioning, but at the moment where you're a year and a half, 2 years into your fitness journey, you don't have the experience to coach those people. You don't have the knowledge set, but that doesn't mean you're a bad coach. It means that you're on a journey to learn everything you can and change as many people's lives as possible, and that is at the heart of coaching. I don't care if you're overweight, if you have an eating disorder, if you have any of this stuff, and you're recovering from something, or you are on a journey. Teach people the things you know that have worked for you. Get rid of the things that haven't, and people will be drawn to you. They want to know about your story. They want to go through the same process as you. They all remember you when you couldn't walk, and now you're doing cool things in the gym and you're coaching people. Like, people want to know that journey and the steps that you've taken to get there.
And then they need to understand that that is your journey, and they have their own journey, and that what you're sharing with them is your experiences to help them better their journey.
You
That's what it is.
just provide a framework for something that they can use in their life, and it doesn't have to be, watch me do this awesome, I just set a world record. Like, you're not. No one's going to. There's only one person in the whole world that can have a world record.
We had a member one time that was a lifelong runner. And I love runners when they come into the gym, because a lot of the times they don't have any experience lifting weights, or they've been so terrified of it because they're so focused on their running, and they for the amount of exercise they're doing, they largely undereat usually, so they have little to no muscle, and they're just really good at long distance, or really good at just exercising for long periods of time. And so we had this one member, and she was a lifelong runner, and we got her lifting, and we built this really strong core, and we built this confidence in being able to move something from the ground over her head and back down again, and to do these things. And she came to me one day, and she goes, I want to thank you. I said, well, what for? She's like, I was cleaning out my closet the other day, and there's boxes on the top shelf, and I had to take them down. Now, initially, my first reaction was to open the closet door, yell to my boyfriend, and say, hey, can you come in here and take this down for me? And then she goes, wait a minute, I've been taught how to move a box or something heavy from the ground overhead and back down again. So I reached up, I put in those key points of performance, engaging my core, making sure that my feet are placed properly, you know, all those things. And then I picked the box and put it down on the ground. I did what I needed to, and I put it back over the top. And I just sat there, and I was like, it was a sense of freedom. Yeah. It's a sense of achievement that's applying directly to their life journey from things they've done in here. You know, and that, when that happens, when those things happen, that is you as a coach going, that's a win. I achieved what I've been wanting to achieve. I may have been having this person doing tons of back squats and front squats and barbell movements and walking lunges and running and things like that. But in the end of the day, did all of these things help improve their life somehow, some way outside of the gym? Yes. Then I've won. Yeah. You know, that's really what it comes down to. And that's, if you get a little a little butterfly in your stomach, if you get a little goosebumps on your skin when that happens for people, then you found something that you should be doing. You know, that's a good way to tell if coaching is for you and if you're doing a good job at coaching.
I think we crushed it. Where can people find you?
You can find us at powerkegathletics.com. We have Instagram, we've got Facebook, we have all the connections. So check us out, drop in, throw some weights around with us, do some mobility with us, or just come by and have a coffee and shoot the shit.
There's a really good coffee shop next door.
Absolutely.
That works just as well.
Yep, Bird Rock is killer coffee next door, and we can talk about whatever you're looking for, or we can just talk about life. We do a good job of that as well. Yep, absolutely.
The Low Back Fix on Instagram, Anders Varner on Instagram, all the socials, lowbackfix.com, powerkegathletics.com. Is that right?
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out, and share this with your friends. It'll be up on YouTube soon.
Send us questions.
Yeah.
We will take questions forever after this. So thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Take it easy.